Imagine a book not filled with fictional heroes, but with real people. People whose names were doomed to vanish. Each one a target, each one sentenced. Not by a court, not by the chaos of war, but by the silent stroke of a pen in a list that, for a long time, no one even knew existed. And this list belonged to Adolf Hitler himself. History remembers thousands of books, books of wisdom, prayer books, volumes that changed the course of civilizations. But the one you will hear about today was a book of death. It did not hold philosophical musings or poetry. There were no illustrations or maps, no scent of fresh ink. Its pages were heavy, like lead, and each one carried the cold breath of death. It had many names: the arrest list, the hunting book, but history remembers it by a darker title: Hitler's Black Book. Inside were several thousand names: writers, scientists, politicians, artists, journalists. All of them were to vanish the moment Britain fell under the boots of the Nazis. And this wasn't random persecution. No. Every name was chosen. Every name meant danger, to the Reich, to its ideology, or to Hitler himself. For decades, this book was only a shadow in the conversations of historians. Some thought it was a legend born of British propaganda. Others knew it was real. Those who held it in their hands understood that the Allies' victory was not only a military triumph, but also the salvation of hundreds of lives, each of which could have been erased forever. But where did it come from? Who compiled this dreadful list? Why did it contain names that, at first glance, posed no threat to the Nazi regime? And most importantly, were these people truly in danger? Or was there something even darker behind the Black Book? A conspiracy the world never learned about. Today we will open its pages. But be warned, after this story, you may never see power or the fragility of life in the same way again. When British intelligence first heard rumors of a special list, it seemed like just another wartime whisper. London, 1940. Night after night, sirens wailed, the skies glowed red from fires, and in the underground stations, women, children, and the elderly huddled together like tiny birds in a nest. In those days, rumors were born as easily as raindrops on foggy streets. But this rumor was different. By late summer, MI5 received strange information. In Berlin, a special document had been prepared listing people to be immediately arrested should the Germans invade the British Isles. Officially, it was called the Sonderfahndungsliste GB, Special Search List, Great Britain. But inside the halls of intelligence, it took on a far darker nickname: Hitler's Black Book. How the list was made, it was compiled by the Reich Main Security Office, RSHA, under the command of Reinhard Heydrich, a man with the face of a cold bureaucrat and the mind of a killer. His subordinates gathered the names of those who, in the Nazis' eyes, could interfere with the complete Germanization of Britain. It wasn't just politicians and military officers. Writers like H.G. Wells, author of The War of the Worlds, journalists like Cecil Beaton, who criticized Nazism, scientists who could serve Britain's defense, and even popular radio hosts. Why? Because words can kill, slowly, invisibly, just as surely as bullets. And Hitler understood that. One of the first surprises for MI5 analysts was the inclusion of Virginia Woolf, a novelist far from the world of politics. But to the Nazis, she symbolized Britain's intellectual elite, liberal ideas, and therefore danger. Also on the list was Charlie Chaplin, though he was an American citizen. The reason was simple. His film The Great Dictator had already mocked Hitler publicly. The list contained more than 2,800 names. Each one came with a dossier, photographs, addresses, habits. Some pages bore special marks, meaning the person was to be eliminated, not merely arrested. The Black Book was not just an archive. It was part of the Nazi plan to invade Britain, known as Unternehmen Seelöwe, Operation Sea Lion. The plan was simple: land troops on the southern coast, push quickly to London, seize key sites, including radio stations, and within hours arrest everyone on the list. A special Gestapo and SS unit had been assembled for this purpose. They were to work fast and quietly, like shadows. Some sources claim trains had already been prepared to transport detainees to camps on the continent. In 1945, as the Reich crumbled, British troops entered Bavaria. Among the trophies found in a Nazi administrative building was a thick, black-bound folder. On the title page, in neat handwriting, Sonderfahndungsliste GB officers, flipping through it, were shocked. They weren't just looking at names. They were staring at a script for the destruction of Britain's cultural soul. People whose voices, books, articles, and ideas shaped the nation were marked as enemies of the Reich. According to witnesses, some soldiers recognized friends and even relatives among the names. The folder sent a chill down their spines. The realization that victory had been not only military, but personal, saving countless lives. There was one odd detail. Some names puzzled historians to this day. For example, the list included relatively unknown figures with no obvious influence on politics or the press. Some believe Heydrich and his team included people for personal reasons, revenge, old grudges, or private agendas. And there's a legend that at the very end of the book, there was a hidden section never made public. It supposedly contained the names of British aristocrats and industrialists who secretly cooperated with Berlin. These names were meant to survive as future puppets in a Nazi-controlled Britain. No proof of this has ever been found. But historians who examined the Black Book claim some pages were torn out or sealed. Today, the original rests in the UK National Archives. You can view it, but only in gloves. The paper has yellowed, the ink has faded, but over each name still hangs the shadow of a cold, foreign gaze. Hitler's Black Book is more than a historical document. It's a reminder of how quickly culture, art, and free speech can fall under threat when power decides your thoughts are dangerous. The story of Hitler's Black Book is not just a tale of war. It's a mirror reflecting the darkest sides of human power. Think about it. A single document, a few hundred pages, and thousands of lives could have been erased forever. We often imagine war as battles, tanks, and explosions on the horizon, but the real war is quieter. It hides in archives, in lists, in secret plans. It begins where someone decides, this person must disappear. The Black Book was a weapon of silent annihilation. No bullets, no bombs, just the idea of total control. And even after 80 years, it chills the blood. Now imagine if Operation Sea Lion had succeeded. London falls. Parliament is silent. Newspapers print the Führer's portrait, and the people from the list, already on trains bound for the camps. We would never have read new works by Wells, never seen Chaplin smile, never heard the voices that gave people hope. We live in a world where this book became just an artifact, not a sentence. And that is thanks to those who stood between the Nazi machine and freedom. But there's one more question. How many more Black books are hidden in archives around the world? Books where even today the names of those deemed dangerous are written? We may never know. But remembering this means staying one step ahead. If this story made you think, support our channel. Your subscription isn't just a button. It's our way to keep bringing you stories hidden between the lines of history books and in the dark corners of archives. Like this video if you want more investigations like this. Leave a comment. What would you do if you found such a book today? Do you think modern governments keep their own black lists? Every word, every like, every subscription helps us turn more hidden pages of history. The story of Hitler's Black Book is a reminder. As long as we remember the past, we still have the power to change the future. And that's why we will keep searching, finding, and telling. See you in the next video, where we will open another page of history that has been kept in the shadows for far too long.